Oh my God, we were
There
just
we go.
speaking here and I always muted. So, okay, hello again. I think we're so excited to be here. I'm so excited that Ingrid is here with me because most of the time it's just me talking to this,
Screen.
to the screen. And now I have her here together with me. So it's different when we have face to face and when we're together. And that's so needed in these times. So this is my today we have 5 sessions. This is the 5th session of today. Today is the 3rd day of the Grandma's March. And welcome, Ingrid.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
And it's so beautiful. I remember still when you and I met and we had a 2-hour lunch, literally. And I remember you had just come back from Nilima Bat's year program.
Shakti leadership.
Yeah, and I was still kind of like, I think I was still employed. Like, I don't know what I was doing. I was just kind of like figuring it out. I didn't really know what I was doing. But it was this like instant connection, like as if like our souls knew each other. And you were talking about this vision and uniting the wisdom of the grandmothers, and it just feels so good to be here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for accepting. And you're right. There is like, it happened with us. Yeah. It happens to me with a lot of people. Is that instant connection, like we met forever, or like we're friends, or I don't know, but this happens and it's amazing.
And there's like no effort needed, and there's no there's no need for like following up or doing doing it's this very collaborative, supportive friendship
and real, as real, and you can be you, and this can happen anywhere. This had happened to me, and even in corporate environments, to find this person that is like, oh, this is could be my friend for life, my person. Through my job that I met you, but we were not working together, but we met through that. And you never know when those connections that we're talking about. The theme of this year is play, connect, and celebrate. So grandmothers are like reminding us of the importance of that, and that is so good. But before we start our conversation, I want to introduce you. Okay. It's fair.
Should I bring it more so that they can see us closer? It's like you're just going to be with us. We're just having a Monica and Ingrid conversation. You get to have the pleasure of joining us.
I know. There you go. So let me find it here.
Should we turn the light on so people can see us?
It's back right there to you. Yeah, much better. Because pretty soon it's going to be dark. But while she's doing that, I was going to read her bio. And Ingrid, she is an international speaker, founder of 3 globally recognized organizations. So you have WAF, your women movement that is amazing, Women Ambassadors Forum. We have a little bit of that yellow, but that's fine. You have Node Inclusion, and you have your creative aligned agency, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's amazing. So she also identifies as a Mexican American, and she will tell us about that story. Throughout her upbringing, neither country accepted her wholeheartedly.
I can't even pronounce it. I can only read in my bio. I cannot pronounce it.
Deciding she was always too much. Oh, wow. Yes. And she's too much in the best way of all. Yes. Of one culture and not enough of the other. This limiting belief didn't stop Ingrid, and she relays the message that it shouldn't stop you either. At only 27, there you go, much better, thank you, has raised 500K plus funds, partnered with over 50 Fortune 500 companies, and created over 40 plus global forums and local forums that have reached women from over 135 countries. Has raised. On a personal level, Ingrid is on a spiritual journey to create safe, profound, and loving containers for women to awaken the depth and light within themselves. The wisdom she's sharing and learning from is rooted in Native American rituals and ceremonies, and I love that part. Helping women connect to their truth. Oh. So So thank you for being here, and I just to just have a fun, relaxing conversation like we're having. We forgot about the mute and the light and whatever, so people can see how it is. And like I told you, the thing for this year is the ancestors are remembering us to play, connect, and celebrate. And the way to do that, and I done it with the other speakers, is what memories and what connection do you have? And you happen, I know that you have your grandmothers alive, and that's a blessing. What connections and stories do you have and memories from that? And then from there, kind of tell us your story. What do you do today, all your sacred work, and how you work with other women. And finally, like now you're being called to all this Native American wisdom and rituals and things like that. And we go from there.
I never made the space to think of how related it was to my grandmothers, like how. So I have the pleasure and honor, really, of I'm the oldest granddaughter, and so I was the first. I was the first to be born, and so I really got the best of them. Like I really got to experience my grandmothers, in the love of being the first one born and the attention. They were at every single of my birthdays. They were at my graduations, at my graduation from high school, from college, like from birthdays to, I mean, they were always there. And they were, and also my grandfathers, but my grandmothers, I've always felt this very strong, deep connection to them. And both of them are very different. So my maternal side is German, which is really where I got a lot of this like discipline and doing more and being more and but also my German grandmother she's so original. Like she's just herself, and
I love that.
And there's no room for BS with her. Like she's direct and she's fair, and she treats everyone equally. And in her world, like, and also though, if you go back to her story and how she escaped the war, and like, there's a story of resiliency and of overcoming. And like, there were so many times when my German grandmother, like, just didn't know where she was going. And she just like trusted the process. And for me, I can't even imagine like that. I think that's what you and I were talking about too, of like this joy for the journey and like this wanting the journey, because our grandmothers did that. Like our grandmothers, they really explored life, and they had really hard times. Like, my German grandmother, I mean, she would tell me stories of like when she escaped Germany and East Germany, and she would be in spaces where like she didn't have a heater, so she had to like run before going to sleep so that she could get warm. Like, I mean, and when she moved to the States, like she started working for this chocolate factory, and then later on, she was able to, and she was able to like buy it, but she was like hardworking, like she.
God, it sounds like.
And she became like a mother at like 5 because she had to take care of her brother. And when she met my grandfather, she left everything. She left both running well-paying businesses to my uncle, like not looking back, saying this,
because she was in love, or like
because she fell in love with my grandfather. But even like as a person, like now, like you wouldn't let go of this like very well-established business because of profit and the location. Right. She didn't even care. She was like, I was taking care of my brother. And so for me, just like seeing that and being able to witness it. And I also get to witness from her a lot of this not fitting into the Mexican culture, and always feeling like, she was just so original and so progressive, that I feel like she always tells like the hardest part, even she's been through war and she's been through all these things, was getting to Mexico and to such a small town and with such an open mind. anyway, so she could have her own show.
I should you wanted to invite them. I
wanted to. We should do the other one with them.
Next time we do it with them for sure. Yeah. But no, well, here is about you and the memories you have and how you connect that to everything that you are.
And I think that like she's been so. I'll start with my German side, but like she has been so involved with everything, and I feel like with my grandmothers, like I saw in them this desire, at least with my German, like to do more and be more. But she really took mothering and like taking care of her husband like so seriously.
Oh wow.
You know, like she was embodying that, like she, you know, and she did it very well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she runs her house like a company. Like literally, they have timestamps and everything.
Like seriously, like wife and
no, there's like timestamps.
Ama de casa.
Sí, ama de casa, pero 1,000%, o sea, a real like housewife, you know. Because she was working, she had a business. I mean, she was making money. She was travel. I mean, I don't even know how. And all for love, like all for. I mean, So, anyways, there's a lot of things that I've learned from them, but there's also a lot of things that have shown me and patterns that I definitely don't want to replicate in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's such a joy to have them still because I get to see that and I get to see what I want and what I don't want and how there's stories and like all the spiritual work. So when I do, and I want to be sure because I don't want to like take you guys on a tangent, but like my grandmother, she's been to every single one of my forums. In person.
Yes, that's so beautiful.
Like all the ambassadors would call her grandma.
It's
like literally. Like she is a part of my journey. And even like my spiritual work, like when I am in circle or I do tea, like my great grandmother, her mom, always comes to my ceremonies. And the simple fact that I get to call my grandmother and tell her that, like, oh, your mom was here. Like one time I even had an experience where her father came in and told her like it's so like you know, he told her a message and I was able to tell my grandmother that. I mean, and so for me that's just you just I will make the space for my grandmothers any day, you know. And then my Lebanese grandmother, she also has just a phenomenal story of like, I mean, she essentially was child marriage, right? Like she married when she was 16.
Oh, wow.
Or 14, right?
My grandma married with 16. Yeah.
I mean,
don't know why.
And they,
I know why. Yeah.
And their childhoods were completely, I mean, and yet again, we think about it and like, you didn't have all these distractions. So like the times that you were a kid, you know, and you really emerged.
16 is just too young.
But and I think it was even earlier, like 15. And then she moved all the way from Lebanon all the way to a small town in Mexico where my other grandmother lived. And so, but I remember like she always like she never stops learning, my Lebanese grandma. Like she takes courses all the time. She came to a desertic area where the house and the land that they had bought, like wasn't for trees. And she literally learned how to compost.
Wow.
So she could create soil.
Wow.
So my grandmother, her garden is the only garden in Mexico that has trees from literally all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah, like she has trees from like Lebanon. I mean, obviously she brought them legally, but she was bringing
but she make him grow in a land that is
that wasn't. It's desertic. I mean, she literally found a way to grow a garden where like she learned. I mean, she was composting and like literally like working with the soil to flourish her garden. And her garden looks like at Versailles. Like you've seen the pictures.
I mean, pictures. It's just like wow.
And everywhere else, like
it's like a sanctuary there. Like it's beautiful.
There's sanctuaries everywhere.
Like botanical garden. Like you think it's
And she's always just like never. So even though she was limited, and even though she was married and she had to be a mother and she had to choose that, like she still always came back to like learning more and studying, and like her curiosity never left her. And I think that's something so beautiful. And she's writing now about the cycles of the garden and how it relates to the moon. And it's just like,
well, I can get now like why are you like you are, so curious and always wanting to learn things and do new things. And what I love about this is also in every story that I hear, and especially now that you're telling this, I find my grandmother's there. And it's like, oh, there she is again. And my grandma used to collect, as she will ask everybody that travels around the world or whoever, bring me seeds of different fruits and plants, and she will grow them. Same thing. I don't know, but everything will grow up to her. Yes, that she will just, keep saying everybody. So it's so good that how they are connected to nature. They know how to do it.
They do, and they do know, and they know how to honor their trees and their cycle. And like she tells the gardeners, like, you have to treat them well. Like you have to love them. Like the moment
talk to them.
Yeah.
She used to talk to them.
My grandmother too. Yeah. And so it's so, I mean, how feminine is that? And how, I mean, just disconnected we are from that reality. And so, she actually texted me today. I haven't texted her back, but it's like, it's just so beautiful. And I get to see them, and I get to see obviously all of the faces that they've been, and they have had, like any person, like and I've experienced like really bad faces and very beautiful faces and ups and downs. And I just feel like even with my own work, I feel like they've given me the permission. It's kind of like I've received their blessing. And I think I'm also the first one that didn't have, and I always say that, I used to always say that when I started my forum, like I had the option to do it. Like they didn't. They did what they could with what they had, and they stretched as much as they could. And I don't have to do that. And that and me doing what I do has also expanded their own limits.
Wow.
And so it's really, I always say, like, if something happens to them, I would have to take a year off. Like, I can't even imagine.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We don't want to think about that. No. Let's enjoy them while they're here. Yes. Yeah. That's for sure. Oh, that's amazing. So knowing your story and the connection with those grandmas and the memories and the amazing women that they are, and I know there is so much of them in you. So tell us more, like what is what you do? What is your sacred work about all this work that you do for women and the women movements and diversity and inclusion and all these organizations you have created and all this journey that you are in? You do so much, just like your grandma.
Yes. And I'm trying to simplify. I know. That's my big theme for the year: simplify. Ingrid, simplify. No, I think I'm seeing now how it's related to my grandmothers. They're always creating. That's their zone of genius. Like, and innovating. Like, my grandmothers create things and are constantly looking for this next. It's not even about the next big thing, but it's like what's fulfilling them. And so, like, my Lebanese grandma, she's always either making marmalades, or she's making something else, or she's giving speeches about gardening, or she's doing a landscaping person, or she's learning the goddesses. Like, literally, I mean, she is constantly learning and doing new things and finding her zone of genius. And I think that is a part of my sacred work. It's not necessarily doing more, but always creating. And I think that's why, I started doing all of these different initiatives, because it was a way for me to create things that were different. Like, because sometimes there's limits within the brand that you create. And so it expands, and then I have to call it something else. But now I'm in this space where all of my worlds are really aligning, and I'm doing D&I work and producing experiences for companies and working with some of the best speakers in the industry and creating journeys and really spaces where healing is activated. And then I also see it with my ambassadors that have a very important role in connecting them to that other world that I'm in the corporate space, right? And not even connecting them, but with this platform, they're able to grow and scale and recenter and find their own sacred work. And so I think my work has really changed every year. And there's also a big part of me that just wants to do less this year. Yes. And so there's a big part of me that's like, okay, well, I just want to take certain projects in, and I welcome new companies and I welcome new initiatives, but they have to work in my flow. and they have to. I thrive in spaces where my ideas are welcomed, and where they actually like that's why they hire me, because of like that's my zone of genius. Like I will thrive. If you put me in a space where it's like, Ingrid, what do you think? I'm like, what? Like I will run, like this is my zone of genius. And so that's what I found with working in like with Nora inclusion and the D&I work of like coming in with all of these ideas, because something I learned today actually from another session is like, when you understand the struggles of women, you understand the struggles of the world. Like you understand the struggles of many minority like most people can embody those shoes. Like you can. Yeah. So for me, I feel like because I learned about women and globally, really, since I was so young, that kind of opened the door to being so empathetic to people from all over the world, and from people with different backgrounds and different paths, and understanding them and really relating to them. And so long story short, that's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm in this space where I'm integrating, the work that I do in corporations, and that is a sacred work. It's really activating healing there. And then the work that I'm doing with my ambassadors and preventing them from burnout and allowing them, like really, I mean, I feel like this is because activists are running low in energy. Like they cannot do it anymore. Like they just cannot. And I feel like I have a responsibility to provide them a new way. And I've always been an activist, but I've known how to make money, and that has prevented me from burnout. And I've known how to like work with companies and grow my relationship and be supported. And activists don't do that. Like they don't take support. They believe that they have to do it. They just don't know.
For free, or it's a passion, but nobody's gonna pay me for this.
You're right. No, you can. And so I feel like I have a responsibility to not necessarily me teaching it, but like bring them the teachers and the wisdom and the people that have like come to my path, so that they themselves can ground and grow in what the world really needs, which is people that help this world in a way that is sustainable and our changing system. So that's what, and then the native wisdom, I think it's going to come to me slowly. But like, for example, I got hired by the city of Clearwater to do an event, and I want to get the Seminole tribe involved in the event and inaugurate. So I think it's going to come in through many different ways. Like I was very drastic, and I was like, I just want to like stop everything that I'm doing and like literally go into the Amazonas and meet shamans and just really understand why I'm here, But I think it's gonna come slowly. Yeah. I don't know what that looks like. Yeah. I'm like,
and my feeling is that you also are like that bridge that needs to bring this into different institutions and corporations and people that sometimes we don't have access to that. Yeah. So that's now that it's like you are in both worlds, know, and bringing that wisdom and that knowledge and those ceremonies and that connection, that's what we're talking about here. Yeah. How can we connect again the world with that, with those traditions, and that's what you're doing. Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. And I like when my first trip that I was called to go was Hawaii. And I took my mother, and it was a very intense trip, like, because my mom likes to do a lot. And so we did every hike you can imagine in Hawaii. We drove the entire island. I mean, it was very intense, but it was beautiful. Like it was rich in experience. And we met a native tribe there. And then in one of the days, there was the commemoration of the day where Hawaii was overthrown. It was the overthrow. And I got to see several natives from Hawaii that were doing ceremonies. And and I met some of, like, I didn't even meet them. Like I just recorded them. And then I later connected with them so I could like, share the video that I have recorded on them. Yeah. And now I'm like really deeply connected with them, and they're doing some amazing work, and they're working with other islanders, and they want to open they reach out to me and being like, we want to do something with native wisdom in Florida. And I'm like, okay, universe, like, I don't know what this is. Like, just bring it on. Like, whatever I'm supposed to do and wherever I'm supposed to go, like, I am open to you. I don't know. But even I thought, like, I want to bring them into the companies and bring it, like, how can we have never done that?
No, and it's so needed to connect to that side, to that wisdom. Yes.
We need it.
Yes. So that's part of your work. And I also wanted you to share a little, because it comes from that, it starts with the movement of WAF, of Women Ambassador Forum. How does it start, and how, because that talks a lot about connection. How does it start, and how do you bring all these women together, and what are they receiving from this, and how are you connecting them to this bigger purpose?
So today I had a very aha moment that was this is becoming very clear on why I did it. So you and I was talking to a phenomenal woman today that was telling me, because she herself did something very grand, and she realized, like, grand is in the rare, like in o sea, en el espejo, in a rare mirror. Like, you do not know when you're doing something grand until you've done it, because your desire and curiosity for learning and doing and being is so big that you're not really thinking about, oh, I'm going to do this big thing. You're just thinking of, like, I need to do this. Like, and I'm just curious about it. So today I was like, oh, okay, that's why I did it. Like, I just wanted to know, I really wanted to just have more friends, to be honest, that were, like, global, and that were in the same space as me, and that were activists, and that I wanted to do more and be more. And they were stuck in a culture of oppression and sexism, and, you know, I really wanted to get out of that. And I got out of it, and I wanted to meet other women and know that there are women like that in every single city and every single street that are wanting more, but they don't know how to break the cycle, and they don't know how, like, they don't have the tools, they don't have the support, the community, the friendships. And so that was my motivation. I was like, I also was in sociology. I took a sociology class. Sociology will mess your brain. Like,
I know.
You start looking at everything, and you're like, that is sex stereotypes. And oh my God, there's stereotyping in this. And you're like, you cannot live your life normal once you've taken a sociology class. Like, you just
it opens your eyes. Sometimes it's like, oh my, it's too much. I don't want to know that.
Like, why do I know about this? Like, so
that is necessary.
It is necessary. And I took a sociology class, and that's what it did to me. Like, I was like, I started looking at statistics, like, women drop out of corporations out of 2 years, after 2 years, because they don't have the support. And I'm like, so that's why I was like, I need to produce a conference where they have friendships, because it was about, like, they gain a sisterhood.
I love that.
That will support them, so they don't leave. And, you know, and I really do. I think sometimes, like, we're guided by such deeper desires. Like, we're guided by such deeper, like, we will never understand it after we've done it. Like, we will never know why we're sitting, you and I, here today, until later, and it'll hit us, and we'll know, like, maybe there was a piece of wisdom that I needed to, like, be witnessed today, and you did too. And maybe something happened today that we're, like, I don't know, right? Like, there's such bigger purposes to everything that we do.
There is.
And honestly, when I started the forum, the first thing I did was, like, text my best friends at the time, and I was like, let's go have a glass of wine. I have an idea. And they, like, fully supported me. And my friends showed up to my first 3 events.
Friends are bad for that.
Yeah, and I bore things, because they probably did not want to be my friends after that. But they were there, and they, like, were cleaning floors and picking up people. I mean, we were literally, like, picking up people from the airport. Like, my professors were so confused, because I would be picking up someone that was flying in from Africa, and you know what I mean? Like, it just became so big, and the conversations, and, like, I still remember Christelle, which is one of our ambassadors from Africa. Like, she was from a more rural side, and, like, she had never seen pizza.
Wow, imagine that.
And we had pizza there as if nothing, like, we've had it every day, whatever.
Wow. But it's experience that you create. It's not like, oh, pizza is the biggest.
No,
but yeah.
But and then my friend and I remember, her name was Skippy, we look at each other and we're like we just kind of like, our eyes were like teary because we like had no idea what we were stepping into. And then getting in the car and picking up people from Pakistan that were fleeing, and like the reality of like what people were experiencing and see. You just can't go back, you know?
No,
you can't.
No, you can't go back once you start with things like this, when you understand that what you're doing is touching people's lives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I remember I was always very deeply spiritual, like very, very spiritual. When I was like 14, I experienced like the miracles of the Virgin Mary with my mom, and we were in Saltillo. I mean, there was just a lot, and I got to experience this beauty of like, what the Virgin Mary brings, which is this femininity. And she's actually going back to like Mother Earth and like how it's been really shaped to be more constructed and limited, and so that we believe that it's just one part, and it breaks us because then we can't embody our full selves. But I felt it wasn't even necessarily about the Virgin Mary. Like I felt her essence. I wanted more of that. And I realized that spirituality and practice and women and circles, and like in our forums, we would do this circle. It was like the most powerful thing about our forum was that we would do these circles, and everybody would literally like get in circle kind of and just share like their story. And it was like hours, like it would be like 5 hours and it was like boohoo crying for like 5 hours, and people like sharing deep stories that I've never shared. And I mean, what a gift. I really didn't know what it was, and I think now it makes more sense to me, but it was just preparing me for what I was supposed to be doing now. Like
wow.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing here because there is a power in the story council that I just learned this a couple of weeks ago, also in another group, and the healing about this and the healing about the stories, however it is. The last speaker before this one was Miriam, and she was telling about stories through books, children books. And that was so powerful because it's the power of the stories, how we all find ourselves in little pieces of the other, and we heal each other. That is so beautiful. And that's our grandmother to tell, like grandmother energy. I mean, it's not like every grandmother tells stories, but that's grandmother's energy or feminine energy at the end.
Yeah. And you know what I like will never forget is like my grandmother. I mean, both of them have been, the German was much more involved on me in my forums, like literally involved, like she wouldn't miss a single session.
I love that.
Like a single one.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. No, she wouldn't miss. No, she was like in it. Like it was like she had to be in every single session. Yeah. And every forum. She's been to every forum, even my virtual one.
Wow.
And she was in every session, and she was asking questions, and she was super involved, and like it just, I mean, priceless. But you're talking about play, is like for her it was like she never got that. Like she was in a communist, East Germany was communist at the time, it was ruled. She like all of that was stripped away, and so I also feel like I got to play with her through that, and I got to see her lit up and like share her story, and people calling her grandma, and like her also getting that love that she needed. And so I think it's and our grandmas do that to us. They kind of create a container where you can really just be and play. And like in my grandmother, oh my God, I'm remembering this story. In my grandmother's house, I would under the table. I don't know if you ever did that. Like we would create houses.
Yes.
Yeah. So she had one table specifically, and then she would give me her phone, so I would pretend like, I had like a phone or in an office or whatever. But she literally like her table had like sections, and I would like make each section a room, and then she would play with me, and like we would do Legos. And so I think that there's a part that we like reborn, like reignite in them as well.
Yes.
And that's why I think the connection is so special. For sure.
Yeah, I'm sure, because it's like always trying to figure out because of course mothers are amazing and they are the best, but why this connection with the grandmother is so special? And I think the mother has this responsibility
to mother.
To mother and to educate, and I'm responsible for this human being, and I have to provide for this human being, and I have to work or not, or somebody else has to provide. So I think it takes away that magic. And mothers can give it to, but the grandmother is just there with all the time in the world, just
flexible and pampering you.
That's it. I did my job already. Now it's like, let's have fun. Let's reconnect to what is to be a child. And this is,
And my grandma, I mean, I had the privilege of really getting the best of them, like getting to travel with them. They would take their my German grandma was very 1, 2, 3. And so even when we would go to trips, it would be me and my sister, and then the next time she would take the other grandchildren. So it was very equal, right? Like everyone's getting a trip. Some may go to Germany, some may just go closer to New York or whatever. But it was just so special, all of it. Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah. Another thing that it catch my attention, and I'm trying to see patterns here in this event, is about sisterhood, and I even wrote it here because you bring that, and that is something so powerful about women for us together. It doesn't matter the age, and one of the examples that were coming through this event was there is this. I think it is called a Human Rights Association organization that is in Argentina. After the dictatorship that happened there, that was from 1976 to 83. I'm learning even things, and there were a lot of people disappeared, and there were babies that disappeared together with that. So the grandmothers came together and to try to find their grandsons, and grandchildren, because of their children that was disappeared back then because of political, social things that were going on in that country. But the power of these women getting together, what they have done to change things and to promote new things, and it is amazing. And now you bring the sisterhood again, but in another context, with these young activists from all over the world getting together, telling stories, supporting each other. And
because if you think about it, they were big activists. Yes. Like they were. I mean,
they are, and
they are. Yes. They continue to be. I mean, even what they went through was not easy, and I even see my grandmother and her own activism, and my Lebanese grandmother with her own activism, having to really find herself and mother at 16, which shouldn't be mothering at 16.
No.
Having so many responsibilities and losing her childhood so young. I think that they can teach us so much, and I think that's where it's so powerful, to reconnect with their wisdom, because I think they're with us all the time.
Yeah.
And their essence will forever be with us. And they're a big foundation for remembering who we are.
About all these trips lately that you have done, what is that connection? What do you find in connecting with those natives or Native American or these people or these ancestrals in these ceremonies? What is this bringing to you, and how do you think people can search or reach out for that to feel connected and to more alive?
I was reading about I was reading about something today that was a very clear message of how every tribe has a different ceremony, and I'm really just starting. So I've done a lot of ceremonies, but with natives, very little.
Yeah.
But what I've realized that their ceremonies are not about them.
Mm-hmm.
They're an offering. They're a reconstruction to the world. They're a gratitude. They're not looking to receive. They're just loving, and with dreams and ceremonies, giving back to the earth. And something I've learned is they've thrived for so many years. I mean, really, because they give and receive. we've, as humans that are civilized and colonized, really just know how to take.
That's true.
And
you don't know how to say thank you,
no,
and give back.
Or even like if you take a tree, you plant another one.
Back. There you go.
And so we just don't know how to give back. And something I've learned from doing ceremonies with them and their message and the way that they connect and that they welcome you, even if you're not a part of their tribe, is this love for the earth. And it's this giving and not expecting to receive, and really offering the best to the earth also. Like, and so like the water ceremony that I did in Hawaii, it was about, the ceremony, it was really about welcoming and releasing the old and welcoming. And in even the way that we did the ceremony, we first gave it to the universe, and then we gave it to the ancestors, and then we gave it to ourselves. And when we were doing the ceremony, all of the clouds became faces. And the teacher, she like grabbed me and she was like, those are your ancestors. You are being guided. And this is why when I started this journey, I'm like, I know I don't have to say a lot, because I had this anthropologist being like, how are you going to get into tribes? And like, nobody's going to welcome you. You have to like, they don't trust anybody. And they've been colonized and taken advantage for so long that they're like, they just do not interact with anybody outside of their tribe. And I was like, because they will know, they can see my soul. And that's the difference. Like, and so that's why it's been guiding me slowly, but that's the main message from the ceremonies, that they have been truly about giving and not receiving. Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Can you share, and I think we start closing here, can you share something like a daily practice or something that you use to connect yourself or to play or to celebrate life, or so other women can get inspired and see that is so, or men also that may be watching, that is sometimes it's easy to do that. It's just the little things or the special moments that you create to connect with whatever you feel that is important to connect.
Yeah, I think there's many ways. For my ritual in the morning, I do not wake up to an alarm, and that is a very big blessing of being an entrepreneur. It is a very, and I also don't have blinds, so I don't see, like, the sun will wake me up, and so I'm not necessarily.
It's not everything dark.
The sun will wake me up.
Yes.
And I have, my body wakes up at a certain time. So, but I've gone in there. Like, obviously, I wasn't there before, but I even learned from Christine, our teacher, who I've learned so much from. But Christine really talks about, like, even the sound of your alarm, like the sound of what's waking you up, can be triggering and can be disruptive. And so I don't touch my phone at all for like an hour. And lately I've been doing it a little extra because last year I did so well, and I got I'm just saying that because I'm proud of where I was as an entrepreneur, and I wasn't working Fridays. I would start working at 11. I mean, seriously, like, I don't even know. I mean, not all the time. It depends on like the season, and there's seasons where I would work like a lot, and there were seasons where I would work less. And I was really in tune with like when it was okay to rest and when it wasn't okay to rest. But I'm also learning that. And so I wake up, I definitely try to move my body. I journal first thing, and then I read. And I love, like, I get my coffee, and I sit in my bed. And I read in my book, because I remember in college and just my entire life, it would be like, wake up. And that moment when you wanted to stay in your bed forever, like you wanted to stay in your bed and nobody would let you. I'm like, I'm an adult. I can do that. Like, I can stay in my bed. And being like it's like the best feeling after you leave your bed and you get in and it's like warm, So I go back and I read there and I journal. I've been doing a kriya of abundance. Yes. My arms are so sore. It's a very intense kriya. And so
what is a kriya?
So a kriya is just a practice with breath. Typically, it could be specific movements that are on a specific length. So it could be like a 3-minute movement that you do and you practice. And there's a lot of different kriyas that you can find. Some could be just more of like a meditation with a song. Others could be like 12 to 15 minutes. And then I'm learning to downshift. So I don't know how to downshift.
That's a difficult one for
me. Oh my God. Yes, I do not know how to downshift. So I have very bad habits for downshifting, and I've been walking, and lately in my walks I've seen falcons every day. Yesterday I saw one super close to me. Literally the falcon was right in front. So I don't know. I think we're all figuring out, but those are definitely. And then another thing that I've realized that really brings me joy and radiance is having these types of conversations. And so I make sure that I'm meeting people and I'm having those real authentic connections, even if it's online.
Yeah.
And that will change the whole mood for how I feel. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always very connected to ceremonies and the tea ceremonies or the retreats or being in circle with women, and that's me too. And we have learned together.
Even today, I was like, I'm coming to your house, but can we do some ceremony after? Like, can we?
For sure, we will. We will draw some cards or things like that. We always do that.
Can we just go wild for a little bit and play?
And those are simple things that you can do, like with those friends that you feel connected. Throw a deck of cards and see what symbol comes, or light a candle, or I don't know. Like, there's so many.
Turn a fire on.
Right, there you go. Fires. We have the fires together. And
I want to do. I just read this from today. This ritual of like.
Maybe we should draw a card.
I
don't know. Just seeing here that I have a deck, so why not?
Let's draw a card for the audience.
Maybe let's see one card for us and for like everybody for this space and see what it comes. And I think it should be you that takes it.
Okay,
so go ahead. This is so we were talking about Christine, and Christine, I would love to mention her. So her name is Christina Railo. She's one of our mentors, let's call it, and you can look for her also in her website, and we learn a lot from her. So yeah.
I think it's a part of like simplifying. We come from countries where you have to do so much, and we also come from, I know for sure I'm learning to unlearn a lot of the bad habits, and not even necessarily bad habits, but imprints. And so being able to sit with women and inquiries and meditate and witness each other and be with each other's energy and support each other, like, that is all we need. It's simple. Like, I was reading this quote today that I was like, just do something small and enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's it. Get together, have a glass of wine, just a conversation, or draw some cards, or go for a walk.
Yeah, it's like the simple things. You don't have to do crazy things like go to the other side of the world, or like me and Monica that want to buy a ticket and just like wing it.
No, let's see what's gonna happen. We love adventure, so who knows? Next time we're like, who knows where, and we connect from there. I'll tell you where we are. But now that we're here, definitely that's our way to look. And what I love is that all this is so connected to the wisdom and feminine. Yeah, there. Oh wow. Well. So the card is called the garden. So your grandma's here in some way. You were talking about her. So what comes.
Yeah.
Show what
she's probably.
Oh, this way. This is a pretty deck that is called the Tarot of the Spirit by Pamela and Joyce Aikens.
It's beautiful.
And
we'll sit with it, see what that means.
Let's sit with that, because I don't know if.
Oh, there's a rose.
There is a rose. There is a rose. There are some flowers. Random. And actually I don't have the book here for the reading. Oh, maybe I do. Yeah, it's here. This is a long one. Yeah, it is holding us together.
Wow. Wow.
It means
like a Bible.
It's an earth card, so it's also divided by elements.
Oh wow.
And it's so connected to the grandmothers, because it's like I was also talking. Well, wow, because my grandmothers actually, if you see the picture right up in the right corner where it says Rosita and Pepa, it has a rose and a tangerine and 2 seeds. So they connect me always to nature, you know. And of course, my grandma's Rosita is, the name means rose, rosa, it comes in Spanish, and Rosita. And Pepa, her name was, you know, until now, I don't even know if her name was Josefina or Josefa. Because everybody called her Pepa. So it's like, I didn't need to know her name. She's Pepa, and she signed it Pepa. She was Pepa for everybody, and she signed it Pepa. So that's the way I know her, and we know her. And the memory that I have from her is one day planting tangerines in her house when I was a kid with some cousins. So that's why of the tangerine. And I was remembering this, and one cousin said to me, "Wow, do you realize that because we were talking about planting the tangerine seeds at her house, and she said to me, do you realize that the seed in Spanish, at least in Colombia, I don't know in Mexico, but we call it pepa or pepitas. Those are seeds. So it's like, oh, so that's why it has little seeds, and her name is seed, you know. So it's like rose and seed. Yeah. So it is so connected to this card. It's coming today to one of the grandmothers. And you were talking about your compost grandmother and the garden,
and which I have to text her back, so because they get very, very sad if I do not text them back. I realized, like with my grandmothers, I cannot make promises and not go through. And they cannot, you know, if I make a promise and I don't go through it, it will be very bad.
Wow.
What does it say?
Well, maybe you can read this because it's very long, but maybe you can.
I'll just read a tiny. I'll read a tiny bit because you're in circle. Whoever is watching, you say you are creating your own sense of what you consider to be success and failure. You hold the tools of your own transformation. Admit to yourself that you do know what you want and go ahead and attain it. Failure does not mean regression. It means that there is a better, more rewarding path for you to take. The earth can be a delightful garden. You are responsible for making and keeping the earth beautiful. Make your choices according to the deepest directives of your heart.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh my God, I just want to keep reading it.
I know. It's a lot. But there is that tarot of the spirit there.
But I love that it was about, it was about that, you know, that you're creating your own way and that that's okay. Yes.
And that was all about, you were talking and the connection of today's conversation.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. We're in a garden, and it's like, how will you landscape it? What do you choose to plant? What do you choose to see? Do you wish to bring seeds from other parts of the world?
Do you compost so you can grow things because it's so deserted?
Yeah, because you want to.
I love it. You want roses, so you can choose what kind of flower you want.
Yeah, and if you want to go slower, or faster, or deeper, or not, I think.
Well, that's life. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Any last thing you wanna offer, comment?
No, I'm like ready to go play.
Yeah, me too. We're ready here.
We're ready to go play.
Well,
but
so where people can reach out to you, of course, with your work and the Women Ambassador Forum, with your retreats that you're now.
Yes, I am hosting a retreat in May 15th to the 19th. It's a full moon retreat. We have phenomenal women coming from all ages. I was gonna do 2, and then I was like, Ingrid, take it slow. There's no rush, so I'm only doing 1. But the hikers that I partner with are phenomenal, and they actually have done. I mean, that's what they do for a living. They work for REI and like these really big companies. So the experience that we're providing, it's a lot of hiking, so it's not so much spiritual. But we were bringing a native from that land that's going to literally be staying with us and doing ceremonies at night, and during the day he's going to be teaching us how to play the flute. I mean, and this guy, by the way, has played at the Olympics, so like no big deal. He's like the most humble person. Yeah, so it's just, so you can reach me at women, like WOMENAF, like AS and apple, F as in frog, and then .org.
So write it here so
people can come.
We may put it here so they can put it. They will put it here. So we will put it there. And then if you want to also put your
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, friend, for having me. I love this. Let's see if
everybody will see that. There you go.
Amazing.
womenaf.org. Amazing. And well, thank you so much for being here.
I love you so much.
Me too. And thanks everybody. So I guess tomorrow is the last day. Today was amazing, and closing with you was just so special. And tomorrow we have 2 more sessions in the afternoon, and then we close. Thanks everyone, and have an amazing night or day wherever you are. Bye-bye.